Greetings, fellow scribes! Welcome back to the archive. This week, I conclude my current little trip to notable locations in Rokugan with one of the more notable castles, Kyuden Kakita, at one time known as Shiro Sano Kakita, before it actually held a winter court. This is the home of the Kakita family, and the Kakita Dueling Academy, and the Kakita Artisan Academy. And there's a bit to talk about here. So sit back, relax, and enjoy as we talk about Kyuden Kakita. Kyuden Kakita is located at an extremely strategic point. Or at least it was when it was originally constructed. It is a day's travel from Otosan-uchi, the first imperial capital. This significance kind of drops once Otosan-uchi falls to the spider much later. The other strategic element of it is that it is close to the Lion Crane border, in one of the most contested areas, the Plain of Battles. Kyuden Kakita looks out across this plain at its rival castle, Shiro no Yojin, a lion strong point that is 2 miles away. Now, inside the castle itself are two of the absolute most prestigious schools in the Empire. The Kakita Dueling Academy and the Kakita Artisan Academy. Between the two is Sado Kakita, the shrine to Kakita himself. And this sort of forms that bridge between the two different philosophies. You see, while there are other dojos of the Kakita style of dueling, while there are other dojos of the Kakita style of artisanry, these two are the most prestigious. And it comes down to the philosophy of Kakita himself, that you should strive for perfection in all things, and that perfection is not just swordsmanship. It is also in cultivating a artistic perfection. So, the Kakita artisans strive for perfection in whatever art they pursue, whether it be flower arranging, poetry, or crafting the blades of the Kakita. The Kakita Dueling Academy strives for that one perfect moment, that perfect draw, the beautiful elegance of death. And of course you have the Shrine to Kakita acting as the bridge between these two. Of course, the most notable aspect of Kyuden Kakita is not these dojos, which are considered the preeminent dojos of their philosophical schools. No, the key defining factor of Kyuden Kakita is the curse upon Kyuden Kakita. Many, many years ago, there was a wandering Shugenja called the Master of the Elements. and he declared that he would visit Kyuden Kakita. And Kyuden Kakita, not wanting to offend this master Shugenja with being met by closed gates, commanded that their gates be kept open until he came. Well, he took his time reaching Kyuden Kakita. One source says it was 6 years, one source says it was 1 year. Either way, he took his time. It was a significant time between when he declared he would visit and when he finally showed up. And the gates were open, but a strong gust of wind caused them to slam shut in the Master of the Elements' face. This Shugenja was so offended, even though he technically should have been offended at the air kami that did it, he was offended at Kyuden Kakita. And so he pronounced a curse that should any child born while the gates of Kyuden Kakita are closed ever draw steel, he will turn the blades of the crane against each other, and Kyuden Kakita will fall. Well, because of this, Kyuden Kakita normally keeps its gates open. And while there are times where they would close them, unless it's for a siege, if a child is being born, no matter their status, within the walls of Kyuden Kakita, they will throw the gates open. They have done this in raging storms, in the middle of natural disasters, etc., etc. There have been only 2 times where the gates were kept closed, and someone was born during that time. The first was when Kakita Yoshi was born. This was during a siege by the Lion of Kyuden Kakita. And Kakita Yoshi broke the, ended up drawing steel in a desperate instance when Kyuden Kakita was being assaulted, and this led to the sacking of the castle itself. The second time was much later, and it is generally considered that Kakita Yoshi fulfilled the curse, but they still believe in it as a precaution. And the son of the head sensei of the Kakita Dueling Academy was born when forces under the false Hoturi were laying siege to the Kyuden Kakita, and this was considered a bad omen by the Kenshinzen, the master duelists, because it basically was the person who would normally be the heir to this school could never draw steel, so could never learn the techniques. And that ends up being one of those bad things that happen. But overall, Kyuden Kakita is a place of an aspiration towards perfection and a guard tower against the lion because of its location. I kind of suspect this was done intentionally way back because of the actual feud between Kakita and Matsu. But nothing outright says that. So that's just sort of my own personal view that Kyuden Kakita and Shiro no Yojin are the physical embodiments of the Kakita-Matsu feud. But like I said, that's just my sort of opinion. And this concludes my current trip through notable locations of Rokugan. I will probably do another series like this in the future. I will always do these in 3 parts, just because of setting elements. My next video is going to be a Tales from the Archive. I'm going to talk about Cyberpunk versus Shadowrun, just because there's a lot of subtle differences between the two. So until then, I'd like you all to remember to have fun and keep gaming.